I think the thing that makes me really sad and upset when I smell smoke now is I think about how scared alone my mum would have felt. As a mum of 3 kids, like it's in our nature to want to protect our children. There was a particularly bad incident at the Year 10 formal, and I was talking to him outside and we were chatting, getting along really well, and then we walked inside and all his mates go, "Oh my God, bro, she's covered in freckles." And it was horrible.
So horrible.
So mean, and I felt so unlovable and like I had some sort of disease. It was a real period of feeling very alone and really down, really down and in dark places. And I would put the kids to sleep and I would just sit on the lounge and cry. Apparently prenatal depression is a real thing as well.
Oh, wow. Well, especially when you've got 2 young ones at home. And,
and I just felt very isolated in that period. Anyway, I somehow managed to get through it.
Welcome to Beautiful Inside by Beauticate. I'm Sigourney and Amy. For over 20 years as a magazine beauty and health director and founder of Beauticate, I've shared stories about how to be beautiful on the outside. But recently, I've also been on my own journey to uncover what it means to be beautiful within. Inspired by my own experiences with mental health and healing, I'm meeting people who have remarkable stories to share. How have they come back from the brink of adversity and reclaimed their power? How do they continue to nurture their inner selves while creating space for joy, beauty, and well-being? This season, I'm thrilled to introduce our Sacred Spaces series, proudly brought to you by King Living. In this series, I'll be talking to designers and creatives who've crafted their homes and spaces for optimum wellness, connection, and happiness. Like us at Beauticate, King Living believe that our home is our haven, and they design furniture that's designed to change and flex as we do. Now, their sleep collection is a true innovation in the wellness space. And at the end of this episode, I've been lucky enough to do a road test of one of the King Living beds and customizable mattresses in my sleep diary. Now, I can't wait to share my experience with you after this next interview. In addition to our special focus on interiors this season, we will of course be doing our usual deep dive into the psychology and science of beauty and self-care to give you the tools to look and feel your best inside and out. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, a reminder that Beautiful Inside is a video podcast, so you can also subscribe to us on YouTube and watch us on Spotify video to see inside the inspiring homes and spaces of these amazing people. So join us for a season that's all about the beauty of our surroundings, but also how we cultivate it within ourselves. And remember, if you enjoy it, please give us a rating in the Apple Store. It really helps us continue to spread the word and make this content for you. Beautiful Inside acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land that this podcast is recorded on, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Welcome back to Beautiful Inside, part 2 of my chat with the wonderful Amy Gerard. For those of you who haven't seen part 1, I would recommend you watch it. It's such an amazing chat. She is her trademark, warm, open self. You know, she is just so funny. Sorry, there's a furry little cat hiding behind here. She's so wonderful to listen to, and she has some amazing stories. In part 2, we go deeper into her mental health journey, her struggle with prenatal anxiety, some dating disasters that she had, and how she built herself up from them, and also anxiety and social insecurity she felt as a teenager. She's just so warm and open and beautiful, and I know you're just going to love this chat. Hope you enjoy. So you've been really honest about balancing the pressures of motherhood and your mental health. Can you share a little bit about your own mental health journey and, you know, how you navigate the ups and downs?
I would say that my mental health has always been pretty okay. I feel like obviously with motherhood, I feel like the first time I really kind of started experiencing anxiety was when I started working again with 3 kids, because obviously I had all 3 kids in 4 years, and so I was a stay-at-home mum for a good, I want to say like 5-6 years. Yeah.
You said that.
And it was what I wanted to do, and I did it, and it was monotonous and really quite boring sometimes and exhausting and also rewarding, and like there was special moments as well. But I was really keen to get back into the workforce. I'm like a real creative at heart, and I wanted to be able to use my brain and all that kind of stuff. So I and in my head, the way I thought it would play out was that I would start working again, and, you know, I'd have those 2-3 days away from my kids, and then it would make me want to rush back and devote myself to them on those 2 days that I had. And man, it did the opposite.
Yeah.
I started working again and I was like, oh, I feel myself again, and I feel inspired and I feel driven and I want to do these things. And thankfully the jobs that I did have at the time were flexible, and it was, creating content for brands, and I had the podcast and stuff. So they were flexible so that I could still be there for my kids. But, with social media and content and Instagram, there are no on-off hours. Like, it's a relentless beast that constantly needs feeding.
100%.
And sometimes you're just so exhausted and you might just want to disappear for a week.
That's right.
But everyone's like, where are you? Are you okay? And really beautiful, concerned messages. But like fronting up on social media when you're just having a lull of a week, that's so hard. That's a job in itself. But yeah, when I started working again, all I've realized that I've done is I've just doubled my workload.
I listened to this very podcast in the car on the way here, where you were hiding in the wardrobe, venting about the fact that the partners never organise any bloody holiday
School
activities.
holidays, yep.
And I was like, that's me.
Yeah.
And this is what I love about your podcast. I was just like, oh my God. And I was getting really fired up too. And what I loved is that you were like, I see you, I am you. This is exactly, and it's so true. Why the fuck should we have to organise everything and the school activities? And just because you stayed at home for 5 years doesn't mean that, it just always falls on the woman.
It always...
Even though we've got probably double the workload of them. We're
exactly
just doing
right.
it at different hours and in a flexible way.
I say to Ryan all the time, it must be nice to just get up. He literally will get up, have a shower and just drive to work and do his job. And don't get me wrong, he's in quite a high position, and I can understand that there's stresses that are on him and pressure and all of that kind of stuff. But then he's just in the one office, and then he gets to come home where the kids are fed, bathed, they're in their pajamas, and then he gets to rough and tumble them.
You're a super mum. I don't do, sometimes none of us have eaten and I'm like, fuck, it's a takeaway.
We have those nights too, don't worry. And then he'll flop on the lounge and he'll be like, and I'll say, oh, those two baskets of washing need to be separated, sorted. He goes, I'm exhausted. Can I just sit down and have a minute? And I was like, sorry, what? You're exhausted. And so we very often, and we still do, and I think it's normal, we still very much have these days where we're like, I've had it harder.
Yes.
You've had it harder. And
no, it's a competition.
It is a competition. And
And there's no solution. Oh, did anyone come back to you? Because you asked your audience if anyone had any good tips. I need to hear them because I'm in a similar pulling my hair out.
A lot of people said look into vacation care, which I had already done all the ones around my area.
Kids don't like it.
That's right. And there's all these things that I could put my kids into, but they don't want to do it.
No.
And am I just spending $160 a day to send them to somewhere where they're going to be miserable?
Exactly. Yeah.
My only saving grace is this street. It's almost like a vacation care in itself.
I know,
so that has been helpful. But when I need to go out for work...
you need to put them somewhere.
Yeah.
See, mine are just old enough where I can almost leave them for a couple of hours.
Yes.
Well, but you've still got a little one. But
It's
it
the
does
5-year-old
get easier. Once Charlie's old enough just to kind of...
she would be fine now. It's definitely just Kobe.
That'll get easier.
He would actually do nothing except eat me out of house and home. He'd go through 24 packets of chips. That's all he does, eat. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so hard. I don't think there's an answer. And it's true. Since we're working, we're just doubling. We're just taking on more than we can
That's exactly right. I've just literally doubled or tripled my workload.
Yeah, great. Well done.
Yeah, good.
Oh, yeah. So I did ask you about therapy, but you were saying you don't do any therapy. You've never done any therapy.
No.
Good for you.
I would actually love to,
great.
but then I actually think my husband would really benefit from therapy.
Yeah.
His parents split up as well when he was... I think he was 14 and I have tried to talk to him because he has certain ways of reacting to situations, and I feel like there's some maybe abandonment issues at play, and he's a really great communicator, he is, and we've spoken about it a lot of times, but I actually think he would benefit so much from therapy and just getting to the root of some of the ways that some of his responses and stuff like that. Anyway, it's much harder to get a guy to go, right?
Absolutely. And if there's no pressing incident, or there's no there's no alcoholism, or there's no, there's nothing like pushing them into doing it. Often it's like, too hard basket.
Correct.
And also, who wants to open up those cans of worms?
Correct.
It's really painful.
Yeah.
And I was the same. I think I tried therapy lots of times here and there over the years, never really connected to a psychologist, didn't really find anyone until it all got too much. And then I was like, just check myself into rehab,
I think one of the big things that I do, and I don't know if it's helped me because of this, but I am a huge talker of my feelings. So not just to my partner, but to friends and to my mum and my dad. When I go through hard times, I never bottle anything up. Because I'm an open book and because I just put it all out on the table. I don't know if that's been somewhat beneficial to me because I don't...
Yeah, you don't lock
I'm not trying to conform to what society deems is the right way to parent. I'm not trying to conform to what other people think I should look like as a wife or as a girlfriend. I just kind of do me, and when I fuck up, I talk about that. When parenting is hard, I talk about that. When my libido goes missing, travels to Mexico for a couple of years, and my husband's in a relationship with someone from YouPorn, I talk about that.
Did you?
Yeah, I talk about it.
You're like, no more porn, please.
Well, whatever. Go. Oh, here's a subscription. Yeah. I'm still going to be out of action for 6 months. But I talk about it, and I've conversed with people along the way throughout my life in high school, when I was living overseas. Instagram became a really good platform for me to connect with people. And so that's been really helpful.
When you said before that you don't like confrontation, what if you have a falling out with a friend and you're such an open book? Like, how do you deal with that? Or if you're upset by something someone's done, or they're upset with something you've done, or, like...
Have I had a falling out with a friend? I like to...
Or like if they're upset you didn't turn up to something, or, like there's always things that you don't even think someone's going to get upset by, but...
That kind of stuff, I will tackle it head on.
Yeah, so
I
you're
will
good at confrontation in that regard.
Yes, I don't like to look for confrontation. I'm not that person.
Me neither.
But if I know that somebody's upset and they pick up the phone and they want to have that conversation with me, I will absolutely address it. Has there been things that like other people have done to me that upset me? I tend to, depending on the level of it and where I'm at with it, I can let a lot of things go. I'm very confrontational in my marriage and my relationships. I don't know if that's something I've brought in.
Yeah, that's the silverback gorilla thing.
Correct. I don't like anyone putting it over me or trying to dominate me or be dominant over me.
But also Ryan's quite like that too, isn't he? You said he's quite like...
Ryan and I are very similar. And so...
Does it get a bit explosive? Like how do you...
We're fire and fire, but when we're not fire, it's very even level playing field. And our fire
isn't... How do you put the fire out when there's fire?
Our fire isn't like... a raging inferno bushfire. Our fire's like a little bit of a match, so we bicker a lot.
Yeah.
And he'll like have a go, and then I'll go him back, and then like 5 minutes later he's slapping me on the bum, and we're having a smooch.
Yeah, right.
If he wasn't so easygoing and got over things so quickly, I can ice him out for a week.
Yeah.
I can hold a grudge.
It's good that he's got that.
It is good.
When there's two people that are like, nyeh, like Damien and I, like, well, nyeh, and then we'll take a little while to come back. Like it's...
What star sign is Damien?
He's Gemini.
Oh, yeah. What are you?
A Scorpio. But I'm not. I'm not
Ryan's
a
a Scorpio.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't feel like a Scorpio. I've never read
You don't give off Scorpio energy at all. Ryan is a Scorpio.
Made a mistake with my horoscope.
Well, I'm a Pisces.
Oh, both my kids are Pisces.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
I don't know if I am or I'm
I don't know.
definitely...
I don't know adult Pisces, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, you do now.
Now I do.
Yeah. I don't know how we got into astrology,
I don't know
but...
either. Oh, no, what are we talking about? Okay, we're very similar in that we've got the chaos of life as content creators. We're podcasters, mums, and all the commitment. We've talked about, the DMs, the never-ending DMs that we really try to get. Do you, there's also for me people-pleasing. Like, I try to do everything. Do you struggle with that? Do you struggle with overcommitting? And have you learned how to say no?
Yes, I have. Okay. I feel like this year has been huge for me. I would never want to let anyone down. It's so weird. I'm an extroverted introvert.
Oh, me too. I'm an introverted extrovert. Is there a difference?
Well, I don't know. I think people think that I'm an extrovert because I'm very open with information that's going on in my life, and they see me out and about, and I'm always on the dance floor. I love a boogie, and I don't mind socializing. But what I find lately is that when I do go to these social events, I am absolutely zapped by the end of it. And I come home and I like just stand in the shower and I stare at a wall.
And I go to bed for
and
like a day.
I don't talk
and I
to
have
anyone.
To work in bed. I'm the same.
Yeah, so
and
it's like...
Bianca Dyer said the same thing in her interview. She's like...
And I don't know if that's an age thing or if it's just I've just got so much on my platter that I can't be going to all of these social events as much as what I used to and being able to give so much of myself.
Yeah.
So I've become really good at picking and choosing what I say yes to now. Because I wouldn't, like, even on the weekends, like, I was always the person that wanted to, like, organise girls' lunches and go out for a boogie. And I just, now I'm kind of trying to prioritise, because I'm so busy during the week, prioritise spending time with the fam.
Yeah.
While still trying to fill my cup up for a couple of hours here and there.
I'm exactly the same as you. Like, I don't know if it's introvert, extrovert, or extrovert, introvert. I think it's the same thing, maybe. But yeah, like, I don't get energy from being around people. I get, like, completely drained. And then
Have you always been like that, though?
I don't know. I think I used to be more outgoing. Like, I'd go to all the events in my 20s and 30s. I was working in magazines, so I was at everything, every night of the week. Bianca Dyer and I were talking about it on the last podcast, and we were talking about how our diary used to just be like jammed every night of the week events. And then something happened and I just can't. Like, I just don't have any. And maybe it's social media. Maybe back then there wasn't social media and we weren't giving ourselves online.
I think that's probably what it is as well, because also you know that if you go out, brands especially, you're going to photograph it.
Yes.
People want to know what you're wearing. People want to know where you're going. It's like you're taking them on the journey. So not only are you, giving yourself at these events, but then you're
there's the prep.
There's prep, but there's also
post.
there's also in the background all the people online who you've got to give yourself to and feed to as well. So yeah, it is exhausting, but I've definitely gotten better at it this year. And also closing in my friendship circle as well.
Yeah. Okay. So pruning. That's hard. How did you do that? I guess you just decide. Decide who you.
It's not even that.
Or who gives you energy.
Correct. It's not even that I'm culling people. It's just that I think everybody's doing it, even without realizing. I think as we get older and get busier and our kids are growing up, we have less and less time for the one thing that keeps friendships alive, and that is time. And so what happens is I think you start to realize there are certain people that are more acquaintances that you see like 2 or 3 times a year, and then there's your like solid girlfriends, probably you can count on one hand, who you speak to most weeks and who you want to see when you've got a free time, like when 100%. You've got some free time. And I think that that's so fine. I think that happens organically and it's just an evolution of certain friendships over time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's very true. Obviously, you talk about being an open book. How do you decide what to keep private, and do you ever think, oh God, I shouldn't have shared that?
I have very much pulled back on sharing stuff about my children now.
Yeah.
I think when they're babies and toddlers, it's kind of my story to tell. Yeah. Not that they don't have their own personality, but they're very much, it's my story. And then when they start school is when I stop talking. I will say this though, I would love for there to be some kind of safe forum where mums could get together and openly talk about their struggles. Because what I found when I was raising newborns or when I was raising toddlers, the highs and lows, regulating the emotions, the tantrums, I found Instagram such a warm, safe space for me to be vulnerable and talk about my struggles. And so many mums could relate and we all kind of helped each other through. It was like this beautiful little virtual online mothers group. The problem is I still have loads of issues that are going on with my kids now, right? And I feel like if anything, they're more serious and they're more concerning and they keep me up at night. But I would never talk about them online anymore because I respect their privacy. I do wish, though, that there was some sort of little safe hub where we could go and talk and support each other.
I know, if it could be anonymous maybe.
Correct.
I agree.
Anonymous.
I'm exactly the same. I don't want to put my kids in it. I don't want them to look back on this stuff and go, Mum, like...
Why did you put that stuff online about me?
But it's just how we process. It's how we understand stuff and normalise and validate and everything.
Exactly right. And I do feel like mums are the best at helping each other through certain times and stuff.
Yeah.
The anonymous thing could be, maybe we should create something.
Yeah, I think so.
A little hub.
Let's
and you can stay private.
Yeah, maybe there's a way. It's got a voice changer.
Yeah. Of course, because you're doing everything by voice.
I am doing voice. No, maybe we can just do it online. I mean,
I just think it would be really helpful.
But I guess that's what those, like there's Facebook groups and stuff. And I guess people do feel anonymous most of the time, but it's just we can't be anonymous because we've got a following. But maybe we just need to like start some anonymous social media
Start a fake account. Yeah, that could be helpful maybe.
What advice would you give to mums who feel pressured by social media or society's expectations to bounce back after babies?
Oh God.
Don't care.
I mean, take your time, honestly, and don't even worry. You've got the rest of your life to be worrying about what you look like. I feel like your especially first 6 months of being a mum is so overwhelming. It's such a big change. The last thing you need to be doing is worrying about the size of you. And I know that some people rely on exercise for their mental health, and so by all means, like, go for your walks and stuff, but don't think that you have to bounce back to your pre-baby weight at a certain age or anything like that. I can say that now, having had 3, but I also understand, because when I had my first, I was like, I got to get back into my pencil skirt, my size 6 pencil skirt. So I was guilty of trying to get back in there quickly. And I can only say this now, having had 3, that no one cares. No one cares, and you just got to take care of yourself, nourish your body with good food, go for walks. The weight will fall off, or it maybe not, and you might have beautiful new curves that you just need to embrace and love.
Good answer. I agree. Now, you mentioned before that the bushfire.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were 8. That was really formative for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
tell us what that was like.
Well, I remember we were down in the pool and we were having a barbecue. My mum and dad always had barbecues. We always had friends and family over. And there was a big cloud of smoke that came across the valley. And as you can look out, it's just all green trees. But down in between, there's George's River. So there's water beneath us. And so we could see flames on the other side.
Yeah.
And I was like, should we be worried? And Mum was like, no, there's water in between us. Don't worry, but, we're going to leave. Go and pack a bag, get your nan's jewellery, blah, blah, blah. I did none of that. I just packed my entire bag full of all the barbecue snacks.
Oh, barbecue
all
snacks.
The Cheezels, salt and vinegar chips.
You can't leave them behind.
Right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, because I was deprived of junk food my whole life. And that's a whole nother topic. And so we left.
So did your mum get all the family photos and stuff?
She got the wedding album.
Oh, God.
And that is it. And then what happened was it was a really...
So they really didn't think it would get your house?
Not at all. And when I tell you, a fireball jumped the valley and landed basically just below our grass and then just came roaring up my backyard. And how's this?
Where were you guys?
We had left by then. It was just my mum and dad.
How long after you'd left did that
We had
happen?
left an hour before, and then it was like an hour later. My mum and dad were trying to hose the grass.
So they were still here?
Yeah, they were trying to save their house, fill up the gutters with water and everything like that. And then my dad said that he got into the garage door and he turned back and the fire was in the lounge room. And I remember not really knowing what was going on or just thinking like we had left as a precaution. And then I remember we'd gone to Lily Pilly in the Shire and my mum and dad walked in and my mum was crying. And I was like, what's going on? And they didn't even really know at that point.
Yeah, they probably just thought it was a bit of fire, like probably maybe not completely engulfed.
And my dad is always like a pillar of strength, even though he's a big emotional teddy bear. I think he almost knew that he had to like stay strong for us. And then the next day we came back and the whole house was flattened. Flattened. So we had one
even
wall.
The bricks, like how?
Yeah, flattened. All the backyard fence. But that house next to us, completely fine. All the houses in the street.
No.
Except ours and one other down the other end. It was like it came, got ours, and then fireball.
But still, you just like, why me?
Well, it was just weird that it took out just this house and then another house like 10 houses down. I remember they asked us if we wanted counselling. They took us to the school and they asked us if we wanted counselling. But I feel like because of the way my mum and dad handled it, they turned it almost into an adventure. They really protected us and made us feel safe. We just went to friend's house. Like one of our friends' mum Daphne had a caravan and so we stayed in that for a little bit.
Gosh.
Then we went to the Napas, we stayed there, and we kind of just bounced around through friends' homes. It's so funny though, because the bushfires now, they never really I remember being a bit like, oh, where's my bedroom? Like, how do I go to school? What am I wearing to school? And it's so beautiful the way a community will rally around you, and it really brings out the
best,
kindness and the goodness in people. And you're like, wow, everyone is so helpful and giving of their time and all that kind of stuff. And I never really remember feeling that sad about it. It's only now, as a parent, when I smell bushfire smoke, it triggers me. And it's like, I remember that smell, but
So a few years ago, that would have been really tough that time.
Yeah.
Did the fires come?
Yeah, we've almost lost this house twice again.
No way.
Yeah, because it obviously
Is
backs
this all
onto
fireproof?
bush.
No.
It's as fireproof as you can get. The windows, the glass and stuff. Everybody in the street is part of the rural fire brigade. They all have training and everything like that. But I remember being here when I was in year 12 again. Fire came up into our backyard, and then as we were leaving, the fire brigade were running down the side of our house, saved it.
See, that's trauma, Amy.
It's trauma. Maybe I need therapy.
You have got trauma.
Yeah.
Sorry to say, that's you're triggered, and I understand you. But you're such I love the way you've dealt with it. It's.
I think the thing that makes me really sad and upset when I smell smoke now is I think about how scared and alone my mum would have felt. As a mum of 3 kids, it's in our nature to want to protect our children and give them a home and a bed to sleep in and nurture them and look after them. And I just, every time I smell smoke or something, I just think to myself how hard that must have been for my mum. She's English, all her family are overseas. We didn't have any family close by. So my trauma is more thinking back to how she must have felt.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, you've dealt with it well, and I can't believe you're back in the same house.
I'm running the gauntlet.
Yeah. Returning to the scene of something that was incredibly traumatic, but you've rebuilt it from the ashes, literally. How long did it take them to rebuild the house?
In 1994, a year.
Wow. And so you were bouncing around for a year?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then in the last 3 months, we actually rented next door.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so happy that you've made it such a beautiful home now.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you tell us about a time in your life where you felt your lowest, whether it's confidence-wise or just a situation, and how you lifted yourself out?
My lowest, my 3rd pregnancy was probably the darkest 9 months of my life. I had Charlie at home. She must have been almost 3. And I had Bobby, who was about 18 months and was so incredibly testing. And I was carrying this ginormous baby inside me. And my husband, Ryan, worked really long hours. He leaves at 7, doesn't get home till 7:30. And I just really struggled, the nausea every single day. And Bobby was just going through so much. I remember struggling so hard with him because I had Charlie first and she was so easy. And I probably walked around thinking I was some Lord parent. It was almost like I got sent Bobby to kind of just put me back in a box. You need some humbling. And he was so challenging. He is such a big feeling kid. He's so sensitive, so empathetic. But how that presents in toddlers is just whatever emotion he felt it in extremity. And a lot of the time, as an 18-month, almost 2-year-old, it was rage because he couldn't articulate himself, couldn't regulate his emotions. So he was hitting and punching and screaming. He'd just scream at me. He would tear chunks of Charlie's hair. He would almost scalp her some days. And I remember crying so many days, being like, what have I done wrong?
Yeah.
I'm doing everything the same and this kid is broken and I don't know how to manage it. I went from being a really confident mom to just a shell of my former self. I didn't want to leave the home. I just felt really overwhelmed with parenting, and on top of that, this beast of a child inside of me.
Oh my God, that must have been
and not having any help.
so scary. Yeah.
And not having any help, and my mum was still working at the time. So my mum was still working. My in-laws live, like they would come and help me once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Or maybe once a week. Ryan's parents have split. So I've got my other mother-in-law, she was still working full-time. And then Ryan's dad's wife, she would help out like once a fortnight and stuff. But it was a real period of feeling very alone and really down, really, really down and in dark places. And I would put the kids to sleep and I would just sit on the lounge and cry. Oh. And I actually went to my GP and spoke about it. And there was a bit of talk about potential antidepressants because apparently prenatal depression is a real thing as well.
Oh, wow. Well, especially when you've got 2 young ones at home. And,
and I just felt very isolated in that period. Anyway, I somehow managed to get through it. The birth with him wasn't ideal either. So that kind of, I had to go in for scans every 2 weeks because they're like, why is he so big? Like, he was in the 100th percentile for his head, body, legs.
So he was 4 kilos.
He was 4 kilos at like 37 and 5 days. And they induced me because I was like, I don't want to be torn from here to China. None of my other 2 had been big. Yeah, the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck and then he was born not breathing.
Also trauma.
Yeah. So Ryan went and got the snip 10 days after he was born because he was like, I can't do another pregnancy or birth like that. I was like, oh, are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be all right.
Anyway, so that was probably the
been tough.
darkest.
And so how long did it take to lift yourself up again? And what did you do?
I feel like motherhood, the 3rd time round, was the most special time for me.
Really?
Yeah. Which sounds wild, but I felt so confident in how I was going to raise him. The juggle. I really enjoyed him as a newborn. I made sure I put Charlie and Bobby into preschool 3 days a week. So I would have that one-on-one bonding time. Nice. And I just feel like all the oxytocin and all that, the love juices that come from having a newborn, it helped that he was a really great sleeper. It helped that he was 4 kilos and he was born like the size of a 3-month-old. So he just slept.
Great.
He slept from the first week through the night.
That's amazing.
Which helps.
You deserved that after everything you'd been
That's
through.
right. I actually felt,
it.
I felt like I didn't sleep pretty much the whole pregnancy. And so the minute he was out, I was like, it was like sheer relief. And then I started sleeping again and it was like...
Did you have him in your room?
I had him in my room. I actually co-sleep with all of my kids for the first couple of weeks.
That's nice.
It's just something I like to do. My mum's like, you're an idiot. And I'm like, well, it's my kids, my rules.
Yeah.
And then he went into the snoo.
Oh, you had a snoo.
Yeah.
Gosh. Oh, that was, there was no snooze when I was having my kids. So
he was in the snoo, but he hated it rocking. So it's just a bassinet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I actually don't know a lot of kids who love them.
Oh, really? That's good to know.
Some do. Yeah. Have you seen them?
On social media, never in real life.
One of the rockings is so aggressive that you're like, is that going to cause brain damage? It's like...
You know what? Damo tried to invent something like that.
Oh,
when
really?
when we had Lulu, because we were so sick of rocking the thing. And he's like, I've got it. It's called the Sleep Monkey.
Yeah.
Like, he designed it all.
Makes sense. Oh, you should.
I know. Well,
some kids love it, right?
Yeah. But then we were like, how do you wean them off it? Like,
that's
the
true.
downside.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The one about the relationship. I did have a question about that
really
tricky relationship that you were in before Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You kind of, like... talked about it in the book where you sort of he was quite controlling or jealous or like what
it was so weird. I loved him so much as well. I met him out and it was so I remember we moved really quickly. He wanted to spend every waking minute with me and he was a really attractive guy, so I was like, oh my god, who's this hottie who's so into me? And so we went into this big little love bubble. And I remember like 6-7 weeks into us dating, he had a boys trip to Bali and he went on it. He was meant to go for 10 days. He was just on the phone the whole time with me, texting, FaceTiming, blah, blah, blah. And then on day 3, he flew home because he couldn't be without me.
Oh my God.
And at the time I was like, oh
wow,
God, he loves me so much. But now I look at that and I was like, wow, that's a huge red flag, right? Like, hello, in your face. And that basically... what he was like, he just wanted to be with me all the time.
Wow.
And I am not that person. Like I have so many, like such a big family and I'm really, really close with them. So I love to do stuff with my family. At the time I had so many friends and I obviously loved doing stuff with them. always including him, but he didn't want to bar. He didn't want to share me with anyone. Very controlling about what I wore to work and what I, if I didn't answer my phone. And I had never in my life experienced a relationship like it. I'd actually always dated really nice, level-headed guys who were just, easygoing. And so I remember being quite, not wigged out, but a bit surprised by his possessiveness and controllingness. But I instantly went into, I can help this guy. I can help him be more confident and feel more secure. And
I'll save him. Yep.
Wanted to save him. And then, so I moved in with him. There was obviously, I feel like all the toxic guys you have really great sex with.
Yeah, right.
Great sex.
Yep.
Mind-blowing sex. So that was quite addictive. And after every fight, we would have this great makeup sex. And it became like this weird drug. And we would have these crazy arguments because he would not let me out of his sight. Like, I had a girlfriend who would break up with her partner. And I said, I'm going to go and stay with so-and-so. And he's like, no, you're not. And I said, yeah, I am. Like, she's my best friend. I've been best friends with her since I was 12. I need to go and be with her. And no, you're not. And
he thought you were going to be in with another guy somewhere
I don't know.
in there?
Yeah. He would punch holes in walls and neighbours would call and police would always turn up.
Were you ever in fear of your own safety?
Never in fear of my own safety because, again, I'm a bit of a silverback gorilla.
Yeah.
But instead of meeting him with fire, I would ignore him. And I would still go about my day. All my girlfriends were like, oh, you're changing. And so what I found myself doing was there'd be all these things on and I'd say, oh, no, I'm not going to come. Not because I didn't want to go, but because I couldn't be bothered dealing with the drama of the arguments. And I remember one time we went to Hugo's. Me and a girlfriend, we went to Hugo's. And her cousin happened to be there. And I'd gone there with my girlfriend. We were chatting with her cousin who was there with his male friend. And one of the party photographers came round and goes, photo, and turns around and took a photo. And I was in there with me and my girlfriend and two guys. When I tell you, I freaked. It's like I broke out into a rash. Even though I'd done nothing wrong and I'd never done anything wrong in the relationship or I'd never given him any reason to be so jealous or suspicious or anything. When I tell you I chased that photographer round looking for him and then I was like, I'm so sorry, please, we need to delete that photo. He did. And my girlfriend was like, look at what he's doing to you. This is not who you are. And so it was like deep down, I always knew it wasn't right. And there were times that I left, but always, I'm going to change. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to change. And I'd want to believe him. So we'd get back together. Anyway, the final straw, I was like, that's it. Like
you did it.
In my head, and in my head, I was like, I love you and I'm always faithful and I'm committed to you, but your biggest fear is losing me and yet you're the one pushing me away.
Right?
Yeah. Which is ironic. But I think deep down, I really wanted to be a mum and have a family. And I was just like, I could never bring children into the world, into a relationship this volatile.
Yeah.
And so I bounced. And he chased and chased and chased. Even when he knew I had a boyfriend, I had to block him on all things. And he just didn't let it go until he realised that I was pregnant. And then he was almost like, oh, well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Did he ever find happiness?
I don't know.
I wonder if he ever ended up with someone that
he could control.
Really sad.
Yeah.
And we just talk about, how we actually have to constantly innovate and put ourselves out there. Do you struggle like I do with that? It's like...
Very much so now. I think I had a little time where I was shining and it was in COVID because I love being funny and making skits and being self-deprecating. And in COVID, I had all of that time. So that was fun. Now I feel like I don't have the capacity to make entertaining content. I feel like between the podcast and the radio and the content for brands and the wine and the book and all of that stuff and then the 3 kids that I have, I don't have as much free time to make the funny, entertaining reels. I think as content creators as well, we do evolve. Like you'll see far, far less stuff about my children on my socials.
Yeah.
And now it's more about what I'm doing during the day. It's more about the fashion that I like, things that I'm doing in my career and stuff like that. Some people like that. Other people are a bit like, oh, you become a sellout. You can't appease everyone.
No.
But yes, I find...
You've got to do what's right for you. Yeah.
That's right. But I think it is so hard to... Like, it's so funny. The other day, I was like, I'm going to try and do a day in the life of.
Oh my God, those take forever.
I
can't even.
I can't. I got to like 9 o'clock and I was like, I haven't filmed half of what I've done. I've actually made 3 lunches. I've put on 2 loads of washing. I've gone to Pilates. I've hung them out. I've done
And you
this.
have to set up the camera in all these different spaces and places.
Physically impossible.
And then you get distracted because of the ADHD, and then you forget. And that's what I do every time I try to do one of those.
It's really hard.
It's so hard.
It is hard. But I feel like people who follow you and who have been on the platform following you for a while, they love evolving with you, and they they've come along the journey.
Yeah,
so
they accept it.
Yeah. Yeah, they get it.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So we will maybe go and do your Sacred 6.
So when you say Sacred 6, are you like, is this Sacred 6 things that are like so important to you, part of your everyday life that you hold in really high?
Some people do it like that, and it's honestly up to you.
Whatever
it's
you want.
whatever makes you look and feel your best, perform your best, however you want to read that. So
Okay.
Some people say Pilates, some people say family, some people say this
Product.
foundation.
Yes,
So
okay.
it's like, and that's okay. All
Yeah.
of those things are fine.
My first one, and this is not in any order,
Okay.
coffee.
Yes.
Coffee makes me a better person in the morning. But
Do you make it always yourself, or do you go out and get it?
I make my first one myself,
Yeah.
just an instant. I actually do have a coffee machine somewhere and we don't use it. I like to make an instant first thing in the morning. And
Which
then
brand?
Nescafe?
Nescafe?
Nescafe.
Just like one of those little sachet
Nescafe.
ones?
No, sorry, it's not Nescafe.
Moccona.
It's Moccona. Yes, shit.
I'm like the one in the jar.
Yeah, the one in the jar.
Yeah.
It's the one my dad always used to have, and I still just buy that one.
Yeah, Lee loves her instant too,
Instant,
doesn't
yeah.
she?
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
put milk
whenever-
and sugar in?
She does it. I think she does the sugar and the milk first, doesn't she?
I think so.
It's so funny. If I ever have a sleepover with her, she will always get up and make me a coffee. It's an absolute gem. I'll do mine first down in the kitchen, and then I'll get one either driving to the podcast, or on the weekends we all walk up as a family. We get
You can walk to a cafe from here?
yes.
Oh, that's
there's
nice.
one like 10 minutes away, not
Amazing.
even. Kids will get milkshakes. I love coffee. Does it do anything for me? Does it like pep me up? No, it's just like, I don't know, it's part of my daily routine.
Yeah, it's a ritual.
It's a ritual,
It's
and
a
it's a
sacred
nice
ritual.
one as well.
Yeah.
My second one would be my friendship with Lauren. She's been my best friend since we were 14, and she's so much more than just a friend. She's like my family. She's the sister I never had, and I don't think we both realize how codependent we are on each other in the nicest way possible. We speak anywhere between 3 and 4 times a day, which is wild. It's like when she's driving to work or I'm driving to work,
That's so sweet.
when I'm leaving work, when I'm driving, when she's making dinner, we're just constantly
Like sisters, yeah.
sisters.
Yeah.
And I think because I never had sisters growing up, she became a sister. She became that sister figure. I think we both became the sister figure for each other from early on. And I remember growing up, even in our teenage years, if we weren't together, we were on the phone to each other.
Cute.
We were like a package deal. Everywhere we went, you'd never see me without Lauren, and you'd never see Lauren without me.
That's so nice.
When I moved overseas, she would come over every year and we'd do like a big 6 weeks of traveling and everything. She's just, I don't know how to explain her, but I hold our friendship in such high esteem. And it is something that, it has been going for almost 25 years.
Wow.
Which I think is really nice, especially in this day and age, to have a friendship so sacred. And we've kind of grown up together. We've been through all of the highs and lows together. She struggled with IVF while I went on to have kid after kid after kid. And we were in very different pages and different chapters of our life. The one thing that stayed constant and unwavering was our friendship, which,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
I love that.
So, yeah. So what is my third? Music. I listen to music from sun up to sundown.
How do you choose? Okay, because I like the idea of that, and I'll put it on probably once a day, maybe. But do you go on to a song? Do you think of a song and then go on radio, Spotify for that, or what do you do?
No. So I have collated my own playlists, and it's all dependent on my mood.
Okay.
So I have country.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm vibing country at the moment, which is very weird from most people hearing that. But I have a huge country playlist.
So will you research songs? Like, how do you know what to add, or you just hear them out and then add them? Or will you put aside an hour of your day to like work on your playlist?
No, it will be very much...
Because it takes time.
It does take time. And all of my playlists are playlists that have been collated and brought together over years.
Do you use Spotify or Apple Music?
Spotify.
Okay.
I also have one called...
I might have to follow you.
Yeah, I'll send you all my playlists. There's another one called Sweat.
Oh, yeah?
This actually came about when I first started doing Pilates and walking.
Yeah.
And it's more things that kind of pump you up, right?
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like dancey, but like cool, fun dance songs that you would know. Then I've got old school 80s and 90s R&B.
Yeah.
That's wildly long.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I put on when I'm having a girls' night, when I'm getting ready to go out. And then I've got acoustic, which is great for like Sunday Arvo barbecues. I love it in the car. It's easy listening, great on a Sunday when we're around the pool. And then I have, which might surprise people, but I love classical music. I love piano music.
Oh, beautiful.
I used to lie in bed. My mum plays the piano. I used to lie in bed. One of my favorite memories, aside from lying in my bedroom and listening to the cicadas in summer, it's lying in bed and listening to my mum play the piano downstairs. I know, I'm such a mushy person, but I love it. And I've got this pianist who I saw when I was over in Venice. His name's Ludovico Einaudi, and his music is so deeply moving and emotive, and it's just incredible. He's a true artist. I don't think he's ever been married. He's just heavily dedicated and passionate about his work. I took my mum and dad to see him at the Opera House just recently. He's so beautiful, and it's what I played to my kids when I'm trying to get them to sleep at night. Yeah.
Oh, that's special.
It's really nice. I played it to them when they were in the womb, and then I often say this on my socials, and people always ask me about this. What are the songs that you play to your kids when you're trying to help them get to sleep, especially when they're babies? I swear it puts kids to sleep.
Okay. I'm gonna try it because my 8-year-old's having trouble sleep. So
I'll send you the playlist.
That would be amazing.
So I've got all different playlists, but I just find
you don't get sick of I get sick of my playlist. Maybe I don't have enough.
Oh yeah, I've got so many.
The same.
Yeah, and I'm always adding to it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when you get down to the bottom of it, Spotify then just starts playing
giving you similar stuff.
Correct. And sometimes if you want just a random mix of everything, it will, you know how it kind of consolidates a daily, a weekly
suggestions.
Yeah, they're always good for a little bit of everything.
Yes, and I love the radio function. So you find a song you're vibing for, and then you do the radio of that, and it's the same sort of
And then if you go through the radio of that and you like a song, you add it to your playlist.
Yes, yep. Okay, yep, I like that. Okay, that's three.
That's
that
three.
4.
Yep. Sunscreen. That is something that I never wore as a child.
Oh, we didn't talk about your freckles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that.
Obviously grew up in Australia with an English mum who worships the sun. Worships the sun.
She hasn't had any skin cancers cut out?
No. She's one of those olive skin English.
Her skin, okay.
I've got fake tan on now, but I am the English rose version of her. So I'm much more like my grandpa, who lives over in the UK. Strawberry blonde hair, freckly. Every time I'd go in the sun, I'd go bright red.
That would have been hard growing up.
It was hard.
Yeah.
And then I've got this mum who loves the sun.
Yeah.
Especially in Australia.
Yes.
And I would do surf life savings. I was doing nippers. So I was always out in the sun. And I just, like anyone, I used to love going to the beach with all my girlfriends and lying by the pool, and everyone would bring baby oil, and there wasn't the education and the knowledge that there is around the harsh effects of the sun as there is now. The sun safety wasn't as much in place back then. The freckles, what I realized was very quickly on, every time I was out in the sun, my freckles would come out really dark. I talk about how we softly bully each other, me and my brothers, and they would just constantly give me shit. Freckle fight, oh, you look like you've been shit on through a fly screen. All the fun taunts from my brothers. There was
toughens you up though, right?
Well, there was a particularly bad incident I write about in my book about that guy in year 10, the year 10 formal, and
so mean.
they saw
what did
my...
he say? Yeah.
I was talking to him outside and we were chatting, get along really well, and then we walked inside and all his mates go, oh my God, bro, she's covered in freckles. And it was horrible.
So horrible.
So mean, and I felt so unlovable and like I had some sort of disease. And so I used to wear foundation.
Yes, and then fake tan.
I would wear foundation. I was like a walking
foundation
skid mark
on your arms.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
I know, and it was horrible. And then I've discovered solariums.
Oh, geez. You did
I
not.
wish I went from foundation to fake tan. I didn't.
You didn't. You
And I
went.
quickly learned that if I slowly built my skin up
Okay.
to tan, that I could actually
could
get a
do it.
really good tan. With the
Accelerators. I know. I did
smelling-
those a few times. My
smelling-
bestie worked in a solarium. And we
smelling
used to
like
go.
burning flesh.
Yeah, it was the worst. I can't believe we did that.
I know. Oh my God, I think back, and I did it for years. And then I lived over in the UK, and it was all the rage over there. And
So I hope you get your skin checked often.
I get my skin checked every 6 months without fail. My Nelly bandage that people probably can't see, that was the skin cancer.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm not just wearing this for looks.
Well, I didn't want to ask what it was. I thought I should have seen this. I'm sure I should have seen the socials about that. I'm sure she's told everyone what it is.
I've got one. I've had one here, here, on my back, another one on my forehead, one here, all basal cell carcinomas. I get my skin checked every 6 months.
Oh my God, Amy.
Yeah.
Far out. Okay, well.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah, and so sunscreen, which one do you love?
I love ultraviolet, queen screen. I wear it every single day, sometimes twice. Okay. I have one in my bathroom. I have one in my handbag.
And which fake tan do you use?
I have the Bali Body Express one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. I put it on. I leave it on for 2 hours, shower, and then go about my day, and it will develop.
Yeah, I really
It's actually real. I find it the nicest one. It fades the nicest.
Yeah.
And because I'm only leaving it on for 2 hours, it kind of feels the most natural.
How often do you do fake tan?
Like at this time of year, with all the events and socials and stuff, I'm every week.
Yeah, once a week. Yeah, I'm the same.
I try not to do it in winter as much.
Same.
And what I'll do is I'll just do my neck and my face,
arms,
and my hands,
a bit of chest.
yeah, and give my body a little bit of chance to breathe. But when, especially in summer, and because I am actually ghostly white.
Are you?
Yes, because I'd never go in the sun now.
Okay.
If you see me in the sun, if I'm around my pool, it's because I've jumped in the pool, and then I will sit in the sun for like 5-10 minutes with sunscreen on, 50 SPF, and also because I love vitamin D, and I think the benefits of it are actually so incredible.
It's great for immunity and
Exactly right, and it's good for your mental health.
Yeah.
But then I'm out I'm in the shade.
Yeah.
But I do need a little bit, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do think it's so beneficial
so good
for you.
I know, like everything Huberman Labs, and everyone
Yep.
says how good it is. So, okay, so that's
sunscreen.
4.
Yep. My backyard.
Oh.
Being out in nature, and this is cicadas. The backyard for me, it signifies so much of, I guess, how far I've come. I started in there as a little kid, and then I've kind of moved out and lived overseas for 3 years, and I dated lots of different guys, and I really lived and I traveled, and I've kind of come 360, and now I have my own family back in the same house, in the same backyard, which holds such wonderful memories for me. And I'm literally watching them live out my own childhood that was so special to me.
That's amazing. The circularity of it's beautiful.
Yeah, and I have so much washing, and this might sound bizarre, but I love hanging out the washing. I love walking.
Have you got a heels hoist?
I do.
Bless.
I do. I love going down there with bare feet on the grass. Grounding. Outside on a sunny day and hanging out the washing. I absolutely detest putting it away, but I don't mind hanging it out.
That's beautiful.
I put my music on.
Yeah.
Yep. And I hang out the washing.
Do the kids help?
Never.
No.
Yeah.
Mine either.
No, absolutely. I need to start giving them chores.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mine do the dishwasher. There's a lot of arguments, though, about that.
I've just gotten them starting to bring their plates to the sink.
Oh, that's a good start.
It's a good start. Charlie's, she's making her bed.
Yeah. Her room's spotless.
Yeah, she makes her bed. Hang on, I did write down my other 6. What was my last one?
6th
Because that's 5, right?
Yep.
My last one is dancing.
Oh, of course.
Of course. You see all these videos floating around of like geriatric like grandmas wiggling and getting down on their knees and still dancing, and that will be me.
100%. I have no doubt.
I went to an ARN trade event on Tuesday night through radio, through KISS, and they were like, there's going to be big clients and all the brands and the industry leaders and advertising agencies, and you need to present and lead with your best foot forward. You want their marketing spend, all of that kind of stuff. So I was like, great, sweet. So I went, and I had a few margaritas, not too many, because I was obviously didn't want to get too sloshed. And I met so many different people. And then there was a DJ, and at the start it was just like lounge music, and then it just kicked up a notch, and you cannot control my hips. It was like old school 80s, 90s, but just the best music. There is nobody else dancing, and I am there on the dance floor. Just
did everyone get into it?
Eventually they did.
Good.
But there must have been like a good
and thanks to you
10, 15 minutes where it was just me on the dance floor. And that has been my whole life. Lauren Bezel, she was always a little bit more, she needed a little bit of liquid courage to get on the dance floor. And so I remember when we were like 17, we had our fake IDs. I would drive us into the city because all I wanted to do was dance. And I would drive and she would sit as the passenger and just drink. Yeah. So that when we finally got into the nightclubs, we were both ready to go. Yeah. And then I'd just drive us home. So
that's amazing. And you didn't need alcohol?
Never needed alcohol. I still don't. I mean, I love a mug here or there or a wine, but I love a dance floor and I will always be the first person on it and probably the last.
I love it. Life of the party.
It makes me feel good. It makes me happy.
It's good exercise too.
I also just tune out. I actually don't dance with anyone.
You're in flow. You're in a state of flow.
I'm just like, I'm in my head. I'm vibing the music. I'm moving to the music. I'm quite an atrocious dancer as well. There's no like cool moves coming out of me. I do this weird thing where I drop it low and I do like a weird Pilates plank. Why? I don't know why.
Like almost a worm.
It's kind of like a worm, but I wouldn't do the worm because my implants might explode, right? So, or end up in my armpits.
Oh yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah. So yeah, dancing, I feel like it's good for the soul.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. We'll have to try the dance floor out together one night.
Yes, please. I'm ready.
Well, thank you. That was epic. Thank you.
Thank you for having me as well.
No, I loved it.
And this was so nice and so relaxed.
Fun. I know.
I know. I could talk all day.
Me too. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
Hello. I'm back for Sleep Diary number 2. In a partnership with King Living, our wonderful sponsors for season 3, our Sacred Spaces series of the podcast. So I've been sleeping on my wonderful Promenade King storage bed with a Sleep Plus 8000 mattress and all the customizable covers for the last week. And I do really love this mattress. So the last week, my sleep has definitely been getting better. The first few nights were a bit rocky because I was still jet lagged and I was tossing and turning a lot. But I asked Damien in the morning if he noticed all my tossing and turning and he said no. So I think it's definitely the mattress. So it's really the way it's designed with the cells in the mattress, it stops you from disturbing your partner. What I'm loving is the customizable tops for the weather. So it's been super hot here and our air conditioner just broke. So we've been trying the Cool Fit cover. This cover contains Japanese gel-infused fibers that draw the heat away. It's machine washable and it's so cooling. And I actually pair it with bamboo sheets. So the combination of bamboo sheets are really silky and cool with the beautiful Cool Fit top is really good because we know that the ideal temperature for sleep is 18.3 degrees to be exact. So you really want to cool yourself as much as possible. I also caught up with Olivia Arizello, who is doing some writing, wellness writing for us on Beauty Kate, and she gave me a little sleep consult, and she gave me a very thorough protocol to try. So she said 1 hour before bed, I'm to wear my blue light glasses. Then she says to have a shower or bath an hour before bed. She really recommended sleep supplements like magnesium glycinate and reishi mushrooms. So I take life cycle mushrooms already, so that's easy. I'm going to add the reishi into the nighttime ritual. To read with the blue light glasses for 20 minutes before bed. Now I have a Kindle that I could use my Kindle on a very low light setting, but I have my lamps. I've actually changed all my lamps in my whole house to amber light bulb. She also recommended using an eye mask. These ones, this one's from Lunalux. Slip also have them. So they have a little hollow for the eyes, and I just like it because it doesn't sit flat against the eyelid and it doesn't feel claustrophobic. It feels like you're sleeping in a dark room. She also said to keep your phone in a different room. So I have been trying this and I can tell you, I think this is the single most important thing to do because when your phone is next to your bed, you're so tempted just to look at it. Even at night, like when you wake up, this was what would get me, is I'd be like, ooh, I just want to know what time it is. And I'd check at 2:30. And then my mind would start ruminating, 2:30, oh my God, what do I have to do tomorrow? Oh my God, I need to get to sleep. And I'd start being anxious. But now I can't be bothered to get up and go to the next room and check what time it is. So I just sort of lie there, and then often I just fall back to sleep. But because I'm not anxious about it, it seems to be a big game changer. Add to that fact that I'm really strict now with leaving my phone in the next room, so I'm not tempted to do any more work or check Instagram or, do anything else, emails. So I'll check in next week with my final sleep diary and give you some more tips that I've learnt this week. So I'll put all the details for the King Living sleep collection below. Also good to note that they offer a 120-night risk-free trial for all their beds. So, if you're on the fence about it, why wouldn't you try it and see if your sleep improves? 120 nights is pretty good. All right, I'll see you next time. So thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And remember, if you enjoyed it, please rate and review us. It makes a world of difference. And if you have any suggestions as to who we should feature on the pod, leave them in the comments on YouTube, as I do check that when I'm planning. Also, remember to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and thank you for joining us.